brother, brother, there's far too many of you dying. You know we got to find a way to bring some loving here today. Yeah.
Part of the demo process is going to be this mirror. Almost every bathroom nowadays has these very large mirrors above your vanity, and they're actually glued on, and the glue that's on there is almost like a tar material. So there's blotches of this tar material, probably 5 or 6 or 8 blotches of this stuff, and then they just glue it on because you don't see any mirror clips around here holding the mirror up. Sometimes these mirrors disadhere from that glue material, and they have fallen and, you know, can be dangerous, and I don't know why they don't double up with the clips, but they don't. So to get one of these mirrors out of here is relatively easy. You get a lot of these wood shims. These wood shims you can pick up at Lowe's, Home Depot, or whatever, and they're wonderful for getting these mirrors out in one piece. A lot of people, and rightfully so, are afraid of glass breaking, especially a mirror this size, and you don't want to break it. And the easiest way, when you're not precluded by the sides here, which I am, because I have a wall here to the right and a wall to the left. When you're not precluded by that, then you would put these shims into the side as well as the top, and you would knock them down and knock them down. So probably at least 4 or 5 shims go at the top, and then on the side, a couple of shims on the side. And then you just succinctly start knocking these in until it gets very tight. And then the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and then you just reverse the process and go back over again. Eventually, and you want somebody standing up on the counter holding the mirror, eventually that mirror will just pop off the wall. The glue would disappear because of the pressure you're putting it in by virtue of the shims. Because they're wood, they're not going to break the glass. But you still have to be very careful when you're knocking this in and you get close to the glass. If my thumb is a glass, right? And you're knocking this in with a hammer, you don't want to get too close to where you break your mirror with the hammer. So I'll do a little demo on that. Come on in, Tim. So when you get to a certain point with these shims, they actually start dropping inside between the mirror and the wall, and that's a good thing. What happens is when the shim drops, as we have this one drop inside of the mirror, between the mirror and the wall, it creates more pressure, more outward pressure, because that shim will drop all the way to its lowest point where it can't go any further. And then these shims will kind of follow suit sometimes, and those shims will actually get dropped in between the wall and the mirror and create that same pressure coming outward. So that's a good thing. At a certain point, there'll be enough room in here between the wall and the mirror that a couple of people, one on each end, can actually start very slowly grabbing your finger up under the mirror and start pulling out a little bit at a time. It's just a very slow process, but if you do it right, it's a very easy process. So I've changed positions a little slightly. You're going to see what's going on here. Along this whole top row, we have probably 3/4 of an inch especially toward the back where there's not a lot of glue. Undoubtedly, they didn't put a lot of glue over there. But there's a good 3/4 of an inch everywhere I put a shim. And then, as I said, if you put your finger between the wall and the mirror, you're gonna just listen. It's really hard to hear with the camera, but you're gonna hear two things. One is that the shims will start wanting to go inside of the mirror, which is great. The other thing you're going to hear is the paper on the sheetrock disadhering from the glue, because the glue is stuck to the mirror more than it is on the paper of the sheetrock. So that's the noise you're hearing, is the paper getting pulled away from the mirror. And at the same time that I'm pulling on it, you're watching the shims go inside, which is exactly what you want. Then you're going to move to another side. Actually, two people would be better than me doing this on my own, but watch this. So as we pull out on it, again, very slow process. You pull out on one little area, then you start pulling out on another one. Shims start dropping. You start hearing the paper rip, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, mirror will pop out. And you saw that happen, and it's a very quick process when it decides to release, and that's why you need two people. Don't do this alone. And that's as easy as it gets to get off one of these mirrors. And if you look on the wall, there's those blotches of that tar that I was telling you about. So the tar is actually sticking to the glass, but not necessarily to the wall. And here it looks like there's about 10 of these blotches. And that's what you're trying to do ultimately, is you're trying to disadhere the mirror itself from the wall without breaking it. That's the easiest way. And then all your shims just kind of bottom out. And, you know, there you go. That's a tutorial on how to get a mirror off a wall.